Listeners be advised. The Soliloquy podcast discuss matters related to the human experience and many that are sexual in nature. Due to this, some conversations may surround triggering topics such as sexual violence, self harm, abuse, and much more. Please be advised a list of crisis and psychological resources will be available in the show notes of this episode. With that said, let's get started with the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention please as we go through the following safety instructions.
In the event that there is a loss of cabin pressure, oxygen mask will drop from the overhead. Place the mask over your nose and mouth. Breathe normally as oxygen is flowing even if the mask is not inflated. Be sure to adjust your own mask before helping others.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Soliloquy podcast. This is your favorite host, Vernon T. Scott, also known as Slater Jackson, and for you freaky motherfuckers out there, Sebastian Adams. On today's episode, we're getting back into the dating realm of things. Am I going online? Am I doing the traditional things? What am I going to do for myself? How do I find my next boo? Oh, and it's crazy that we are actually recording this around Valentine's Day. It didn't click until, you know what? It is what it is. Love it. And I know when I hear this, listen back to the episode, I'm going to be like, well, here's that time warp thing happening again. But anyways, to have this great conversation, I have Deontay with me. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me again.
It's a pleasure. So it is season four of the podcast, and trying to get everything back up and running, and all the things. Surprisingly, even though I have been away from the show for a year and a half, literally, I've seen people still subscribing, which makes me feel good. So that's a rewarding sight to see. And this is even before releasing the new episodes of season four. So that is beautiful. So there's new people coming to the show. Of course, the old people who already subscribed, they're going to be surprised when that new episode just randomly drop in like two weeks from when we're recording. Uh, but they'll just be shocked there knowing that the podcast is back. But for those people who are new to the show, new to you, do you mind introducing yourself? Tell us about what makes you so great and all those other good things.
Absolutely. And I always tell people just to start out, it's nothing wrong with stepping away and taking a break and doing what you got to do for yourself. A lot of times we put a lot of pressure on our creativity and say, oh, well, I got to keep going. But it's great that you're able to step back and come back and do an amazing, even more amazing episode in season. But for those who do not know me, I am Deontay Bolden, CEO and founder of the Bolden Experience and the Bolden Awards, Bolden Magazine, all those great things. I say the Bolden brand. I'm an award-winning author, speaker. I'm an actor as well. I've stepped away from acting a little bit just to create my own opportunities. I'm a playwright, filmmaker, so many different things. I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia, where the weather right now is just
It's
on
something.
this. It's crazy. Yeah, we just came through a snowstorm, if you to say the least. But yeah, I just love one of the things that my brand has really centered itself around is really bold stories and testimonies from people who have overcome. I feel like a lot of times it's needed because we could talk about the successes of what we do, but rarely do we talk about what we had to really go through and endure to get to where we are now. So that's just a little bit about me and the brand. And yeah, wherever you want to go, we can definitely dive into it.
Oh, amen, amen. Well, don't you have a show coming up, a award show, award ceremony? What's going
Yes.
on there?
Yes, so I'm actually gearing up for the Bolden Awards. We started the Bolden Awards in 2023, and it's where boldness meets greatness. I saw a need because here in Atlanta, when you're creative, you're nominated for different things and awarded. And I went to a couple of award shows, and I just realized there was a need for a space where people could just truly be celebrated for who they are and their authenticity. Because a lot of award shows are about favoritism, nepotism, or I'm friends with this person, so I'm going to award that one. But I really wanted to give opportunities to people who just never really got an opportunity to shine. And that's what we do at the Bolden Awards. So we did it in 2023. It was a success. People are still talking about it. And now we're bringing it back in 2026. This is the Bolden Awards 2.0, and it's going to be a Nigerian celebration. So we're putting a little emphasis on it this time because I said if I do something, I want to do it different than the way we did it the first time and really add something bold to it. And one of my best friends, shout out to Silas Silmuki, who is also one of my sponsors for the award show, he gave me an idea to just do a Nigerian type of theme. So we're going to have Nigerian dance. We're going to come in Nigerian attire. We're going to honor some amazing individuals, and we're just going to have a bold celebration. So it's going to be May the 23rd. It's a 3-day celebration. So the 21st, we will have the Bolding Your Story workshop. So if you're looking to turn your story into your superpower and figure out how you can build your brand on your story, you definitely want to be at the workshop. And then May the 22nd will be a brunch where we're bringing all the honorees, the speakers, performers together to have a Nigerian cuisine. And then on the 23rd, Golden Carpet starts at 5 and the award show starts at 6.
Yes, well, I'm excited for everybody that you are going to recognize this year. That's beautiful. Just to give people a space to really own their own narratives, find that comfort in the story that they've lived, their journey, and just put into a direction, right? Because so many times people can get lost and feel beaten up on the things that they've survived their way through and not see that no, you climbed a mountain and you made it to the top, or you made it to the top of one of those peaks. Even though there's going to be more to go, but there's still things that you can work, like celebrate. Like you don't have to feel beaten down. You can give yourself the rest. You can give yourself the thing that you need just to feel empowered because you went through something, you made it through, and that's a success. That's a thing worth celebrating. So I love that you're giving people that opportunity just to, feel seen, feel acknowledged, and not just, like you said, having to know the right person in order for you to be fully known and seen. So that's beautiful.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think it's just expanding. When I first started and wanted to get into the award show, I felt like I had to get the top, people who have Instagram followers and people who have like, big names. And I realized that that wasn't a vision of where God was trying to take me. There's a lot of people out here who feel unseen, and just being not honored at this award ceremony has really caused a lot of people to start their own businesses and brands and start their own productions and things like that. So I'm truly grateful for the opportunity. So if anybody wants to go grab tickets to come and see this, it's going to be at www.theboldenexperience.com. Grab your ticket.
Yes, yes. And I feel like I have your links and stuff, but just in case, send those over to me so I can put it in the show notes too.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so we're here to talk about dating overall, online versus traditional. To start the conversation, do you have a preference between the two?
I'm definitely, I mean, you said dating versus what?
Like the online dating versus traditional, meeting somebody out at a bar or at the grocery store and building the relationship there.
Into both. I think online dating is great too because I'm an introvert. So sometimes, just being able to be online and talk to someone and then start to really build communication skills, that works for me. But I also wouldn't mind, and I like the traditional, well, let me just go out and meet someone at the store and, exchange numbers and things like that. So I find them both. I think online dating can be a little intimidating sometimes because sometimes you don't know who you're talking to on the other side.
Hmm.
But I'm a very visual person, so I like to be able to study the body language and all that stuff. So I would prefer traditional, but opposed to online dating as well.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm a little bit in mix of the two as well. Like I don't mind meeting somebody out in the open, and people don't believe this when I tell them. Like I'm pretty shy because I don't ever be wanting to talk to people. Also, like when I go outside, my main goal is to get the thing I came outside for and get my ass back home because there's things I could do at home. I like being home. I feel comfortable. There's things for me to do. Like it is my safe space. It's
Mhm.
great. Like it's home is where I like to be. So if you see me in public and you want to utilize some of that time, please let it be worth it. Like I even this is not dating related, but I do enjoy moments where I may be outside minding my business and just have a fruitful conversation with a stranger and just I was nice talking to you genuinely and then carry on with my day and then of course being back home. However, like in the dating realm, you walk up to me and you just be like, "Oh, I find you attractive," blah 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 blah. I'm just gonna be stuck a little bit, not because I don't believe you. It's just like I didn't come outside for this.
Right. Yeah.
Glad that now we can figure some things out. We can have a conversation like I'm comfortable enough to see somebody that I find attractive, and just like, oh, you're very cute. That is, I like what you got on. That is very beautiful, whatever, and go about my day. But me saying that doesn't mean like I want to jump your bones. It doesn't. It's not me like I really want to date you because that's just not where my mind is at.
Right. And I think online dating makes it socially awkward for some people because some people also, when they meet you in person, you can have the communication online, but then when you get in person,
Hmm.
it could be awkward. So I think it's just really working on the communication skills. You have to
Right.
know how to be able to connect both ways. Because I've had experiences like that as well. And it could be a little awkward. Yeah. So
Mhm. Yeah, and that translation between online to IRL is very interesting because I've had people that I've dated in the past, and then we get to real life conversation. We go on a date, and there's been some where the communication was still great, and I love that. But then there's also the ones that's like, okay, if you shown yourself to have this type of communication style through text, what's the gap here? What is happening that is not being able to, transcend the phone or the app? And then I've had people that I've met in person, great conversations, whatever, exchanged numbers, and those were not necessarily in the realms of dating, but we're texting and it's like very dry, and I'm just like, what are we doing here?
yeah. It's definitely a communication thing. To me, part of dating, and even moving into a relationship is just really being with someone who becomes your best friend, someone that you can communicate
Mhm.
with, laugh with, talk about different things with. And I think everything is just so instant now where people are just either people want something from you, or they have their own intentions. And I think now it's just like everybody's just after what they want, and nobody is really truly trying to build anything anymore with someone because
Mm,
dating takes time and dating takes effort. Like you gotta study the person, you gotta ask questions, you gotta show interest, and it comes in both ways. And I feel like now everybody's just so social media. I gotta get on my Instagram and I gotta do this and I do that,
mhm.
and it's just people are not willing to put in the effort anymore.
The Soliloquy podcast focuses on the variability of sexual expression. When it comes to sexual expression, we often depend on pornography to illustrate how one must perform sexually. For those who have not learned this by now, the stuff you see in porn is not real. Pornography provides a singular perspective of sexual expression that is not often the reality we see during our own sexual encounters. The Soliloquy podcast is a conversation that takes you outside of the compressed box of what many know about sex. Some of the topics we discuss includes kinks, condom usage, status disclosure, and past sexual experiences. The Soliloquy podcast steps out on sexual norms and recognizes that the norm is not the only normal. Subscribe today and join the conversation.
And I got to do this and I do that.
Mhm.
And it's just people are not willing to put in the effort anymore.
Listen, I'm glad you mentioned social media because personally speaking, if I have to be on social media or on your social media page for you to get external validation, or you want to be one of those couples on the TikToks and shit, and yes, I know I said the TikToks. I know I'm not that old, but I'm being that old today. Shut up, people. If I have to be in a relationship where I have to be the TikTok couple, just break up with me today because I can't do it. I
Hmm.
cannot. I don't mind having a enjoyable moment with my partner and you share that with the world. That's fine. But if we're making couples content, no. I'm good. I'm good. I just learned. I love that we spent this much time together, but today I learned that this is not the relationship for me. And I'm going to grieve this the way I need to grieve it, and I hope you do it too. But this is my exit, and I don't want to waste your time. Thank you so much.
That's true because they all want to do it for the social media and the likes and the follows. And to me, I just think that, I don't know where we're going as far as the conversation. You may be something that you bring up later, but I really think that a relationship is just really meant to be off of social media. I feel like whoever you're dating. Now, when you get married and you got a ring on your finger, then you can post all the pictures you want because y'all
Mm.
went to that next level. But I always tell people, especially people who are in my circle, keep your business off social media. Everybody don't even know who you dating.
Yeah. No, let's jump into it. That's good. Like I feel the same way. Like it's not even one of those things that I'm hiding anything or that I'm being secretive. It's just that I don't put my value, I don't put too much stock in social media because we all know it's fake. We all know that we put our highlights online, and that's fine or whatever, but this doesn't make up the bad times that happen in our relationship or the extravagant and beautiful moments that happen in our relationships. Like I've been at many of an event where I'm having such a good time, I forget my phone exists, and then it's like, you know what? Now that I remember, let me just actually put a little small snippet to let people know I'm actually outside doing something for once. Like I would do that in those moments, but the I've been at that place for like a full 2 hours, having a good time, enjoying and being in the moment and being present. I don't have to remove myself from that just to put that online for somebody else to see what I got going on. Like I'm outside when I want to be outside.
Right. And I think that that's the great part about it. Some people don't have boundaries when it comes to social media. And that's another thing I look at, how often you put a whole bunch of your stuff. I have relative, a specific relative, she wants to be married and she wants to have a relationship, but she posts everything on social media. And for some reason I just kept telling her like that's a turn off, for anyone who's trying to pursue anything with you. Because if I feel like if you got to put every detail on there, when we have an argument, you want to go to social media.
Mhm.
When we have a most vulnerable moment and you just feel like you want to post it, you know what I mean? So I think there should just be boundaries with it. And then there's just certain people like you post who you're with, but every week you with someone different. So it's like that becomes a thing. So I think it's just I say you don't get on my social media unless I got a ring on my finger.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Something that we talked about way back when, in regards to online dating is using it as a means of testing the waters. And if I remember correctly, it's more like really getting a vibe and feel for a person. So, in what ways do you think that helps out for people in the long run for, choosing that method a little bit more of the traditional side?
You mean the perks of online?
Hmm.
I think the perks of online is just really weeding out what you don't want. Because when you're in person, sometimes I'm that type of person. I'm nice, even though I may not be interested. I want to make sure I do stuff in a respectful manner. Social media helps it quickly to just read the profile, see if that's somebody that you're interested in, see if they have the yeses and the nos that you want, and moving on. Online also kind of, I say for me, it also helps me to weed out certain people too is communication. Because if you're constantly texting me,
Hmm.
hey, what's up? And then the next 5 minutes, what you doing? And then the next 30 minutes is like, so what you doing now? And then I'm like, okay, like this isn't going anywhere. And this is just not like you don't have the proper communication skills and know how to handle proper, conversation. And then sometimes the way people spell too, it kind of lets me know where you are in the educational, bracket as well. So that kind of really helps because you don't sometimes get that on the traditional dating. You got to kind of dig a little bit. And then, also you have to play your cards right on traditional dating because, you're out with that person. So you got to make sure you play your cards right until you can let them know that you're no
Hmm.
longer interested. So that's
And
for
I feel like that's a really, really good point too, because I was kind of thinking about like, I'm thinking job interview, right? Job interview, people are putting their best foot forward because the person that you hire at the interview may not actually be the actual worker that you get. So, and I think a lot of that does show up in traditional dating too, because not that people often meet people and they're looking dressed to the nines or whatever. Sometimes I'm just in casual wear. We find each other cute and whatever, and we figure out, okay, well, let's go ahead and see what's going on. And we're just trying to go off of first impression alone, even if a lot of it is just us texting after that point, to figure out what, getting into our next date will look like. And I feel like online does give you that option to weed out people a little bit easier because, like you said, I can see what you already have on your profile, and if I don't like it, goodbye. Or if you're not showing yourself as being someone who's able to communicate, carry a conversation, or contribute to a conversation, or even go beyond the WID every 3 seconds, then how are we going to really mesh work out if we actually go on a date? What are we going to really talk about? Like if I
sure.
ask you what are your interests in person, you can make up something. If I ask you what are your interests through online chat, it's either you're going to take uh the actual thought to figure that part out and respond with that, or you'll lie. Because let's be realistic, a lot of possibility of that. But like you get a feel of a person a lot easier without making the commitment to schedule and waste your time because you just be like, well, I just like doing this. I smoke, I watch stuff on Hulu, and that's about it. Oh, okay. Well, not to say there's nothing wrong with that. Oh, okay. I'll be smoking too. Well, what's your strain? Do you have a certain strain that you like to smoke on? Like, what's going on? Like, you can have developed conversation, and it's just like I just get what my dealer said. Okay, well, let me go ahead and call it a day. I don't smoke, y'all. I'm just using examples.
And the beauty of traditional dating though too, sometimes people just be socially awkward online, but when you meet them in person, like and you really get to like the root of who they start to show you more of who they are, and you begin to start to like, because sometimes
Mm,
everybody doesn't have the best communication skills. So I think traditional dating also gives the opportunity to give more of a chance to people who may be socially awkward. Because at the end of the day, sometimes when you do really have a deep conversation with someone, you start to learn more about them and you start to be like, okay, this seems like, I might have prejudged this person, but this person seems to be all
mm,
right. So there has been instances where that's happened to me as well. So I think there's just pros and cons of both, but
mhm.
I think traditional dating is really in for me right now.
I hear you. I hear you. Last thing before before we move on to something else, but I do feel like something that I do enjoy is really understanding how people project tone in text messages because it really gives you insight on how they're viewing what you sent or their perception of you, right? If I send over something that's like, oh no, I'm not interested in that, and they get an attitude or something like that, or that or if I give them a soft correction on something like, hey, I don't appreciate being called this, that they perceive that as me yelling at them and all this other stuff, that helps a lot to determine, okay, this person may not be comfortable with accountability or that they see minor conflict as a big conflict. And that's a red flag. Let me go ahead and dip.
Yeah. I think that goes back to sometimes too, just like you say, things could be misconstrued because sometimes you can read something as a text message and think that they're saying it a certain way and they're not. So for
Hmm.
me, I always tell people, especially even when I'm in a relationship or dating, if it's something important you want to say to me, I'm not a text person when it comes to my relationship or something that's very personable or something that's just very important, or dealing with business. I always say, call me because a lot of times reading a text message, you
Yes.
can take it a certain way, and then a person, I'm mad over here, and then when we talk again, you like, what's going on? I'm like, well, I didn't like the way you sent that text message. And they were like, oh, well, I didn't mean any harm, sometimes with the exclamation points and stuff like that. I'm like, wait a
Hmm.
minute, who you hollering at? So it could
Is that
get,
all caps?
yeah. I'm like, wait a minute, is that a little attitude between that, a little tone in your voice? So it's just, it goes back to really learning the best ways of communicating, and then taking away from a lot of the text messages and really learn how to get on the phone and have a conversation. That's important to me as well.
Hmm.
Regardless if we meet online or we meet traditional, can you have a phone conversation with me? Can we communicate? Can we laugh, and joke and all those different things? So I think you get the best of both worlds, but I think traditional really helps people to step up to the plate and learn, effective
Hmm.
communication.
Agreed, agreed. Since we are like in the season of love anyways and whatnot, I'm curious to know like if you have any advice for a person who may have some type of confusion on how to find their dating scene, be it whether or not online is the thing for me or traditional, and especially with traditional, where do I go to find that person? If you have anything that may have worked for you or things that you've noticed, what would you say there?
I just realized I got my love thing back here.
You
I
do.
know. I was like, wait a minute. I think I just noticed that. Love is in the air, I guess. I
Okay.
would say to me, to not limit yourself, to be open in all aspects, because a lot of times people say, "Oh, I want to be in love or I want to find a relationship," but you're really not putting yourself out there. I feel like you have to do your homework as well if you're really looking to be in a relationship. I think sometimes people think that Mr. or Mrs. Right is just going to pop out of the sky and find you, and in some instances, maybe it does. You go to the grocery store and you look in your best, and then you find someone that can happen. God works in different ways. However, I just feel like you have to be willing to put yourself out there and get on the online dating because society has changed where most people are looking for love online more than they are going to the bar down the street. Some people are still doing that too. And then just putting yourself out there and being out there, in the moment. I think when it comes to traditional dating and where the best places to go is where your zone is. You know what I mean? What you like to
Yes.
do so you can find that common interest with that person who will be at the same place. You might want to go to a Beyonce concert and then meet the love of your life because they like Beyonce too. So you just never know where it would be. But I always just say, because my mom, I love my mom, she's trying to get out in the dating scene, but she is so against online dating, which I understand the fears of it. But I always try to tell my mom, put yourself out there in all different ways because Mr. Right can't find you if you're nowhere to be found.
Mm. Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, that's a word.
Or
But
Mrs.
it's
Right.
true.
Yes.
It's very true. And like I feel like something that especially when it comes to like queer dating, I feel like something that people do have to remember, especially if you're going to do online, is that sometimes we have to, even though, because I'm thinking specifically of the hookup apps, right? Even though it is possible to find friendship and it is possible to find love on those, we also have to be real about what the majority of the crowd is. Like And if you are going to be using those for the potential of love, be willing to reject and be rejected, right? And in terms of online, really just fill out those profiles, people. Take the time to actually be mindful about what it is that you are looking for, because first and foremost, if you come across my page and you swipe right on me, I'm going to assume that you looked over my page, and I might even ask you some things about like related to your page that might coincide with mine, or ask, okay, so what were some of the things that you read about me that made you swipe right? Right. And if you don't have an answer for that, then I just lost interest because you're not, I don't feel as though that you're trying to really get to know me. And the swipe right, swipe left thing is very addictive, especially when you feel empowered because you have that authority to say no to people, which we don't have so much of that in our own personal lives. So I get it. But if you're looking for love, it does take the extra step to go beyond just looking at somebody at face value, which is the picture in of itself. And to go on to the traditional thing, I loved how you mentioned, finding your own zone, right? If you know that you're an anime person, go to where the anime heads are. If you know that you are a gamer, go to where the gamers are. If you know that you are a person who just has so many different interests, go to all those interests and see if you connect with a person. And the commonality is the thing that's important, but not the totality, right? The totality of you means you're multifaceted, that you're interested in these things as well, but y'all have at least this common interest that y'all could bond over and grow from. Maybe introduce them to a little bit of what's going on in the anime world as you learn a little bit about what's going on in the sports world. Like, the relationship does not have to be tied to the community that you found each other in, and it doesn't just have to be based in the foundation of only the thing that you prefer, right? It's just figuring out what is the thing that makes us a great little unit and how we make it work.
Yes, and I love two things that you said because I know you want to move on to something else.
Take your time.
The shallowness of online dating can mean too. I think a lot of times we have this thing or this stigma where we first thing that comes to us, and you have to be attracted to the person that you want to
Mhm.
pursue in some type of way. I do believe it, but I feel like that's the
Yes.
first thing that we see, and we don't give shots and opportunities to people who may not be the best looking person, but may have the best personality. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I don't feel like we dig deep enough with that. And then I will also say with the online dating in these apps, to be mindful of how you're going to be perceived on some of these apps as well with what you put in your profile. Sometimes people confuse me because they're like, oh, well, I want to find love. But then when you go read their profile, they're talking about, well, I'm ready to go get busy, in the
Delay.
yes. And I'm like, well, which one is it? And I'm all for if you are online and you looking for sex and that's what you want, that's cool. But don't try to confuse that with I want to be in a long-term relationship because now you done got everybody confused. And then you wondering why people are hitting you up about sex when you're trying to be online and trying to find relationships. So you just have to be intentional about what you want and then leave from there because you can't get mad at somebody when they in your DMs talking about something. Here's my number. Meet me at the hotel down the street when what you got on your profile is inviting that. So
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Like,
yeah.
be real about what it is that you're looking for. And I feel like not enough people are doing that. Like, we cannot find love in the guise of you have ownership of my, well, not ownership, you have leeway with how you treat my body,
Mhm.
right? And I feel like so many people try to find love in their sexual escapades, which I get it. There's vulnerability in being genuine in developing relationship that a lot of people are not willing to feel, because heartbreak is crazy. It's not comfortable, it's not fun, it's not something that we really want to experience on a regular basis. But if we're really trying to find love, we have to open ourselves up for that, right? Like, sometimes we'll see, okay, this person has they're lusting after me, I'm lusting after them. We have great sex, so let's go ahead and see if we can build a relationship on this. And oftentimes we can't because it's not solely because the relationship started physical. It's the fact that you just don't have a genuine connection with knowing who this person is. Like in this way, you might need to take a break from the sex to understand, do I even like this person's personality, right? What do I know about you, and what do I like about you, and what do I not like about you? And let me go ahead and weigh those two options because if I don't like your personality enough, then we're not gonna get in a relationship, but we may be able to continue the sex. I just know you're not the right person for me on this level, and I might end up having to distance myself from the sex if I'm starting to get deep feelings. So we really do have to take a moment to really sit in and ask ourselves, am I ready to go on that journey that may lead to heartbreak? The
Mm.
answer is no. That's fine. At least you know that you're not ready at that moment, and you can communicate those things, and you can say, right now, I'm not ready for a relationship because I'm scared to be in a relationship, and I see sex as something that's protective before I can do the work that I need to be in a relationship. So I only have emotional space in the capacity for sex and physical relationships than I have for anything romantic and deeply emotional. And that's cool.
I like that. Honesty, the best thing, because I always say if a person's honest with you up front and telling you their intentions, it's up to you to accept that or move on.
Okay. Amen. Um, kind of went into a little bit here, because many of us we've had like bad dating experiences, and a bad dating experience can really, ruin it for another person. And I'm curious about, at least in your past, if you've had any bad dating experience, what was some things that helped you in healing from that? Or even if you know people, know friends who've had that, and you offer them some advice on how to get through that, what's some of those things that helped, that that helped?
Um, from me and then people who I know, I think the worst experience of dating and breaking up is when you lose yourself in the process of dating.
Mm,
And that was one of the worst things for me, in my experience, and people who I know as well. I always say you really need to be fully invested in who you are as an individual, as a person, and really understand the importance of self-love. So when you do hit those bumps and you get into a relationship with someone and the relationship is over, you're not looking at, okay, well, how do I pick up the pieces and where do I go from here because I've been so invested in this person. Now, don't get me wrong, that still doesn't mean just because you love yourself and you do the inner work that when you do get in a relationship and then you face a bad breakup, that is not going to hurt you and you got to process it. But a lot of times people have to go through the therapy process because they get into these relationships not really understanding who they are fully as an individual, start loving someone more than they love themselves. And then it just
mm,
becomes a thing where you're like depressed or you're ready to end your life or you're not ready to fully move on in life and really bounce back eventually after processing it all. So that's my advice to people, to really just take time with yourself and don't be one of those type of people too who are just so into seeing what you want to be in a relationship that you're really not understanding the value it is to be single as well, learning
mm,
yourself, studying yourself, taking yourself out on dates. We put a lot of emphasis on the world of, oh, I want to be in a relationship because Valentine's Day is tomorrow, so everybody's all into, well, I gotta have my love and my boo thing. But it's like, take yourself out, learn how to love yourself, know how to invest in yourself and treat yourself, and really value the moments of just being by yourself. I love going to the movies by myself.
yeah.
I'll do it. I love going to the restaurants by myself and treating myself and having that me time. So when that other person does come along, you're not one of those clingy and needy type of people, that you can learn how to get some things for yourself and not depend on someone else to give it to you.
Amen. And I feel like the worst advice that anybody ever came up with, I kind of get where they were trying to go, but I just don't agree with it, was that phrase, to get over somebody, you have to get under someone, because absolutely not. You're not spending enough time with yourself to really figure out how did this relationship fail, right? And not even see it as a bad thing because sometimes things just don't work out. Like the worst relationships are the ones where I mean, the worst separations from relationship are the ones where there wasn't really a bad problem. It was just that you're not a good match because you cannot really pinpoint, oh, this person was being toxic, their communication was bad. No, we had all those great those things and it was great. I loved it and I enjoyed being in relationship with this person. And then we realized that these two values just don't align. We had a conversation about it. We broke up and now we moved on. And now you're just like, well, what to do now? Like,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it is easy to be able to point out a bad guy, but when there's absolutely no bad guys, it's tough for a lot of people to really heal and move on from that. And I feel like the best thing to do in those moments is just to take a moment to reflect, to think about literally what was the things that really made me happy in that relationship, what were the things that did not make me happy, or if there wasn't anything that didn't make you happy, what is it that I want to have more of in my next relationship?
yeah,
How do I find a partner, or what aligns best with my values, and when should I communicate that, or how do I communicate that sooner so that we're both already understanding that this is going to be the approach that we want for each other, right? How am I going to set the right expectations? Um, are my expectations fair? Like really taking a moment to reflect on who you are and how you have been with in relation to another person and grow from that or develop into the person that seems to be the ideal version of yourself, doing that self work. And like you said, taking yourself out on dates. Like, I wouldn't even have the karaoke community that I'm in if I wasn't just taking myself out on dates every Saturday and just ended up in the Mexican restaurant having a good margarita and found out, oh, they got,
okay.
listen, I was like, oh, now they have karaoke. I'll be back.
Yeah, and I wanted to add to what you were saying. Sometimes we don't realize that in a relationship, when you look for something, sometimes we think that it's all about what we want, but it's also about what you need, the type of
Hmm.
person that you have. Because sometimes people just make you better, and I think that's what I'm looking for when it comes to relationships. Someone who can make me better and add to what I already have. You know what I mean? And I love what you were saying too, because we always hear that, the best thing is to get over someone is to get on another. I'm scared of those type of people because if you are constantly the person that just wants to keep going from relationship to relationship, there's a pattern that you're picking up because the pattern might be that you're not changing something within yourself and you're allowing yourself to enter into these relationships and you're becoming the problem, or you're going and meeting the same type of people, toxic people, and wondering why you
Hmm.
can't get over because you haven't had time to process and be like, well, maybe I need to stop going for these certain type of guys or girls that keep getting me in this space. So it's just both of those things you made some valid points with, and I think people need to understand. And that's the value of really just spending time with self. And getting therapy
Exactly.
too. Get some therapy, people, because therapy, sit in a chair, listen to someone, it really helps.
It helps so much. Now, I wish one of my clients will. Actually, I do have that conversation with some of my clients. I'm quick to be like, so how long has it been between these relationships? And they were like, oh, just a couple of weeks. Mm. All right. Like, as soon as I get the answer, I'm like, yeah, we're going to be moving to a place that where this relationship is going to end. So it's not that I'm forcing you to end the relationship. I'm not even going to do any of those things. But working on yourself while in a relationship and you start to grow and you realize this person is getting a little bit more toxic. No, they've been that way the entire time. You're just now seeing things differently because you're setting boundaries.
Yeah.
It
Patterns. Patterns. I tell you, patterns you can pick up quickly in a relationship. Because a lot of times when a person is leaving out of abusive relationship, they were with someone else who was abusing them before. And it's like the
Mhm.
pattern don't just start there. And then sometimes even with our own childhood traumas, we bring that into relationships.
Yes,
Talking to someone who they can't understand how you communicate and you ain't understand how they communicate and all these traumas. It's like it's deep with relationships and people ain't ready to do the work and it ain't gonna last.
agreed, agreed. All right, so I've well, two things, because I'm very open and honest about my on the show, clearly. Um, I used to have this section of the show where I do would you rather questions or never have I ever questions and blah 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 blah. I'm not near my actual belongings, but I still could technically do the things, but I'm not. I chose that with season 4 because a lot of the crazy stuff that's going on that people do need a lot more inspiration, a lot more empowerment and whatnot. And one of the things that I've been focused on is liberation because that's essentially the theme of season 4 and may just be the theme going forward. But sexual liberation specifically. So the question that I've been asking all guests all season is, what makes you feel sexually liberated in this moment?
Oh, I I kind of connect, when it comes to anything sexual with spiritual. Like I have to be connected to you spiritually. I'm very attracted to personalities and people who are adventurous, people who are to me, it turns me on when someone has like they're really into their business and they really have it figured out and they're really trying to be pursue a career or whatever it is. They're really fully in tune with themselves and what they want out of life. To me, that's very attractive because I can't be laying in the bed with someone who just ain't trying to do nothing with their life. And tomorrow, the only thing you got on your list to do is go out and smoke and drink and not do anything. So for me, sexual liberation comes from the fact of when I connect with someone and I connect with their spirit, who they are as an individual. Because a lot of times people are laying in the bed with people who are just ruthless individuals, and I'm like,
Mm.
that what you would want, somebody on you, your body connecting with them. So that, and then just really someone who is a go-getter. Those are the main two things that really um are become attractive to me.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Well, let's see. For me, in this moment, the thing that is helping me or making me feel a bit sexually liberated is kinks. Um, they're very explorative. They push back on the culture a lot. Like we're going to engage in the taboo types of things. And it's against the norm. It is all consensual, of course. And because of that, we you get to explore the things that people can only dream or fantasize about, right? That I get to become a completely different character, engage in this type of play with a person and feel safe in it and feel cared for in it and feel free in it too. So that will be for my sexual liberation for at least in this moment.
And that's definitely nothing wrong with that. I tell people, if you got a kink and you want to dress up for you and your partner and do what you want to do, hey, that's the beauty of that, and that is a part of finding someone who really enjoys what you do, and then you have someone who never did it before and want to explore it.
Right, right. All right. So, are there any last words you'd like to share before we close out this episode?
No, and sorry I had to go on mute because I got this science side of thing going on over here, and I don't want to be
You're
calling.
good.
No, I just really love the conversation of where we went. And I just want to let people know that love is something that you start with in yourself. I actually wrote a stage production about it called Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places. And one of the things that I really wanted to emphasize with people is that in order to really find true love, you have to start with loving yourself, loving God, whoever your higher being is, and understanding the importance and significance of that. What really bothers me sometimes with people is that they're so busy trying to find love and their importance in someone else when it starts with self first. Any person that comes to, loving you in relationships should add to what you already are building over here. And the love that you have for yourself, they add to that. And it shouldn't be a thing where they should be, replacing yourself and your self love for your self worth. So that's what I want to leave. And I really and truly enjoy this episode.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Enjoyed having you here. Oh, and before I close us out, don't forget to remind people about the award show Come on, let them know. Let
But
them know.
yes. Yes, the Bolden Awards 2.0, Home Away from Home, is going to be a Nigerian themed type of celebration, an award show, May the 23rd, 2026. You can get tickets. They are 20% off. Go to www.theboldenexperience.com. I tell you, if you're in Atlanta, it's going to be a celebration, the boldest celebration that you've ever seen. People are coming from Nigeria, different parts of the world, just to be a part of this experience, and all over the United States. We got people from Texas, Florida, Chicago. Oh my God, I can list them all. So be a part of this celebration and realize what boldness is. So if you need some inspiration and be like, I'm going to start this business, but I just need to hear somebody's story or how they did it, you definitely want to make sure you're in the room because it's going to be bold.
Well, amen, amen. Love it. All right. Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast, Deontay. You are extremely appreciated. And to the audience, thank y'all so much for listening to the Holy podcast, where we step out and speak on sexuality. And just in case no one else told you this today, you are beautiful, you are worthy of happiness and joy, you are enough and then some. You may not live up to the expectations of others, but that is okay. You are only required to walk in your own shoes. May each day you live lead you towards abundance. With that said, love you all and see you next episode. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Holiloquy podcast, where we step out and speak on sexuality. You can subscribe to the podcast through your favorite podcasting app and find us on the web at www.holiloquy.com. That's www.heauxliloquy.com. Share the podcast with your friends and join the conversation.